first recipe I ever developed here in the test kitchen was for chicken marsala. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous back then, and I tested that recipe dozens of times. And at the end, I was really proud of it.
Well, I remember that you cooked it right here on the show 16 years ago. That was season 2.
And I always loved that version, but nowadays I don't make it so much anymore because that sauce is just a little too sweet for me.
Yeah, well, we're wiser. We're a lot hotter.
You know it.
And our expectations for food have grown as well. We want more complexity in our marsala sauce. That's where we're going to start. So we are starting with 2 cups of dry marsala this time. So we're going to put this right into our large saucepan. And next up, it's 1 ounce of dried porcini mushrooms. Tons of flavor. We rinse these just to get all that dirt off the surface. Now we also want more body in our sauce. We want it to have a lot of clingability, so it sticks right to the chicken.
I like that word.
We're adding 4 teaspoons of unflavored gelatin. So as this cooks, it's going to give that sauce some really nice body. All right, so I'm going to bring this up to the boil over high heat. Now once it's at a boil, I'm going to reduce that just a little bit down to medium-high. We'll let this simmer until this mixture is all reduced by half. It's going to take about 6 to 8 minutes. We're done simmering the marsala wine at this point. I'm going to go ahead and pour this into a fine mesh strainer. Get rid of those mushrooms. We just needed them for flavor. We don't want them for texture. All right, we'll let that sit. So now we're going to continue with that pan sauce. I've got 2 cups of chicken broth. We'll add that to the pan now that we've reduced that marsala mixture. If you wouldn't mind getting that for me as well.
You got it. There you are.
That goes right into the saucepan.
Oh, you're gonna let me do it.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Thank you. So I'll mix this together. Now we'll bring this up to a boil, then I'll reduce the heat again down to medium-high. I'm gonna let this simmer until it's reduced down to 1.5 cups. That should take about 10 to 12 minutes. Let's get to the chicken.
You're on it.
And we are going to create our own cutlets, and I think you have a present there.
I do, I know these. These are the chicken cutlets that are made by taking a boneless, skinless chicken breast and cutting them in half horizontally. What you wind up with is a very ragged end like this, and on this side it's maybe 3 times the thickness, so they never cook at the same rate.
That's right, but we have found a much better technique for creating chicken cutlets.
And this, to me, is a game changer.
It is. All right, so we're going to work with these one at a time. These are 4 6 to 8 ounce boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Now, we're going to cut each of these crosswise right about at the middle.
So you're separating the thin half from the thicker half.
That's right. So now we have this thicker half. Now we can cut this thicker half horizontally all the way through. So now they're pretty evenly sized.
Brilliant.
It was probably some sort of engineer that came up with this.
It probably was. Now this to me is a total game changer, and I'm never gonna cut chicken cutlets that old way again.
All right. Now, if I look through here, most of them are of even thickness. But this one's a bit thicker. And this one, and this one, and this one. So we're gonna pound these out with a little bit of plastic wrap, just until they're even with those. It's about a 1/2 inch thick. All right, so these are going to go right into a bowl. We're going to season these with 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. I'll just take a pair of tongs and toss these until they're coated with the salt and the pepper. But really it's the salt that's going to do the work. So that salt's going to work its way into the meat and help to keep them juicy later on. And with chicken marsala, you dredge those cutlets in flour and then pan saute them. And that's what I have here. I have 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going to get our skillet heated. This is 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And we'll go ahead and heat this up, medium-high heat. We want to get that pan and that oil really, really hot. Until
Ripping hot.
Ripping hot. Love it when you say that, Julia. Until that oil starts to smoke. Okay, in the meantime, pair of tongs so we don't get too messy. And by we, I guess I mean me.
Or you know that I love to get messy when I cook. When I cook, there's just stuff all over me head to toe.
I love that. All right, so we're gonna put these cutlets right in the flour, make sure it's well coated. And then we're really gonna shake it off. We don't want too much flour on there. That's one of the things that can give the chicken kind of a gummy coating.
Yeah.
All right, let's take these one at a time, place them in the flour, flip them, make sure that they're completely coated.
You are not dropping a speck of that flour. I'm really impressed with your technique.
Wow.
You're a very clean cook.
Well, this is my phone hand. Hello. gotta keep it nice and clean. All right, that is number 6. I'm gonna leave the rest of them in. There's 6 here, 6 there. We'll cook them in 2 batches. I think the pan is pretty hot. Yep.
Yep.
Seeing a few wisps of smoke there. So I'm going to turn that heat down to medium. We don't want these chicken cutlets to cook too quickly. Place them right in there, nice gentle simmer. And that is going to go fast. Really on this first side, going to take about 1 to 2 minutes until they're just lightly golden brown. All right, 2 minutes on that first side. Let's go ahead and flip them over. Same thing. We're not looking for tons of color here. That flavor's going to come in the sauce. We'll let this cook another 2 to 3 minutes on the second side, and in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and dredge the other chicken.
Sounds good.
All right, second batch coming out.
Those look terrific, don't they? It's really hard to get browning on small pieces of chicken like that because they cook so quickly.
Absolutely right, but what's great is there's a little bit of fond in the bottom of the skillet. That's also going to help us with our sauce. I do want to turn the heat down to medium-low because now we're going to add the magic ingredient. Pancetta. Yes. We tried all different kinds of pork, but pancetta is pretty standard in this recipe. And without it, we really didn't want to live anymore. Need you to stir that.
All right.
About 4 minutes is what we're looking for until it gets really nice and crispy. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and slice some cremini mushrooms. Now this is a pound. They do have a little bit of a deeper flavor than the white button mushrooms. I do want to trim these, just the bottom a little bit. We're going to keep the stems on. I've already prepped most of these. And now I'm going to slice these pretty thin. Now, if all you can find at the supermarket were white button mushrooms, that's fine. This recipe will work. All right, so how's the pancetta doing there, Julia?
It is gorgeous. It's nice and golden brown. Almost looks like candy. I kind of want to just go in there and eat it. Is that bad?
Well, it's dangerous at this point. That is really, really hot.
Now, that is a lot of mushrooms.
It is. They're going to cook down to very little. They actually lose a lot of their liquid, but we want a lot of mushrooms for a lot of flavor. So I'll toss this together. Now, this is going to cook for about 8 minutes. We're going to crank up that heat up to medium-high.
Oh, that looks good.
And then that liquid is going to evaporate. That's going to take about 8 minutes. Look a lot different the next time you see it. These are ready to go.
They look delicious.
Aren't they great? So we're going to take out the mushrooms and the pancetta using a slotted spoon because I want that fat to remain in the pan. We're going to use it. All right. That looks good enough. What do you think?
That looks great.
All right, so we're going to put this back over the heat. Another teaspoon of vegetable oil and 1 minced shallot. We're near the finish line, Julia.
Yeah, this looks like the beginnings of a pan sauce.
That's exactly right. So we made our concentrate a little bit earlier, and now we're just building that sauce right in the pan. So this is going to go about a minute until the shallots are starting to soften. All right, next up, little tomato paste. Without it, the sauce was just too thin, both in texture and in flavor. And this is a tablespoon. And we're going to go ahead and add 1 minced garlic clove at this point. Not too much.
No, not too much.
Really isn't about the garlic. Now this only needs about 30 seconds to cook. All right, this is looking great. Could you add that reduced marsala mixture?
You got it. Ooh. Oh, that smells amazing.
And this is that long cooked marsala. Remember, we've reduced it. I'm going to add a little bit more right at the end. This is
a little nip.
Yeah, a little nip at the end. This is a 1/4 cup more of our dry marsala, just so we remember what we're cooking with, right?
And you can actually smell that fresh marsala. It has that bright flavor.
All right, a little bit of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons, again for brightness. And a teaspoon of fresh oregano, not the dried stuff here. We don't want it to taste like pizza sauce. This is coming up to a simmer. I'll crank that heat. And now I'm going to add the chicken cutlets right back into that pan. There we go. Now we're bringing this up to a full simmer. We're going to let that go for 3 minutes, and this is by design. We actually want some of that flour that's on the chicken to kind of break away in the simmer. It's going to thicken that sauce, and we won't get a gummy coating on the chicken. So it's 3 minutes here. About halfway through, I'll flip those cutlets over.
That smells amazing.
That smells done.
Nice.
Put these on a pretty little platter. Now, back to the sauce. It's off heat at this point. I'm going to finish it with 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter.
Well, you always finish the sauce with a little bit of butter.
That's
adds
true.
that richness and adds a glossy sheen as a finish.
He's my favorite of the Sheen brothers.
That sauce is looking beautiful. And you whisk like you own it.
You like that? All right, so now a little bit of parsley. And we're going to put our mushroom and pancetta mixture right back in there
Oh, man.
where it belongs. Now that is a sauce.
I'll say.
So I'll spoon some of the sauce right over the chicken.
Oh, hello. Mmm.
Here you go, honey. There you are. Who's your friend?
You are. It's the extra sauce that told me so. This is better than my version 16 years ago because the sauce has a much more complex flavor with the porcinis and then those cremini mushrooms, the tomato paste, the shallots, the pancetta. Bridget, this is a fabulous version of chicken marsala.
Thank you so much.
Nicely done. So for a more grown-up and savory tasting chicken marsala, use a dry marsala wine and reduce it down with some gelatin and dried porcini mushrooms for body and flavor. Then finish the sauce with a splash more marsala, some lemon juice, and a little butter just before serving. So there you have it. From America's Test Kitchen to your kitchen, a wiser, more mature version of chicken marsala. Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.